How's it going, guys? Today's update news video looks at everything we need to know for tomorrow as of the recording of this video, being the Monday. Of course, Tuesday's update, as with every single weekly update, we have some interesting things coming out. So first things first, what is coming out on tomorrow? Well, it is the Italian heavy Bisonte C45 with the Priscus skin. So we will be getting the Italian heavy tank, the first one, the premium tank within the game. You know, everyone's been raving about it being in the premium tech tree there for the last week, and so it is coming into the game. It will be in the game tomorrow. Yeah, so if you want to pick your hands up or you want to try out the Bisonte, then you can do when you pick it up within the game. I don't know how much it's going to be. It hasn't been leaked or info as of the recording of this video. Of course, when you jump onto the game, I would expect, given it's Wargaming, it will probably be in the region of about 14,000 gold because it comes with the skin. Of course, Wargaming tend to do this thing where they'll release a tank for its first time ever. It will be 14,000 gold, then it will come out and then they'll remove maybe the skin with it, and then it will cost like 12,000 gold. And then for the stock tank, just the tank on its own, it's usually 10,000 gold. So if you want to be able to actually pick up the Bisonte, that's how much it will probably cost you. Of course, translate that into gold costs. How much is it going to actually cost you in real world money? And then you can kind of work that out for yourselves. Of course, that will be part of the Tuesday update, so don't forget about that. Now, with Tuesday's update, we will also be getting the M60 and M60A1 stock gun heat shells will be fixed as some were doing too much damage. Right, so the M60 and the M60A1 were doing more damage than their standard damage within within Cold War game mode. So, that's pretty interesting. They obviously messed up a little bit with that one. Of course, if you were playing in the M60 and the M60A1, if you want to take advantage of it, I guess you could play today as a recording of this video in your M60 and M60A1 continuously for the next couple of days, or for the next day until, of course, the update on Tuesday, which tends to come around 10 o'clock GMT, so that's actual time in Britain. And of course, I think that's like at like 4 in the morning for you Americans on the East Coast, or Central Time or something like that. So yeah, make note of that if you're interested in playing the M60 with the increased damage at the moment. Yeah, very interesting. Other than that, we have health bar will display the HP you will gain from a patch kit. So if you want to actually see how much hit points that you'll be gaining, it's a Cold War fix or a Cold War add-on, then yeah, that will basically come up within the game. They'll also added flames and smoke to missiles, so they're easier to see, and crossplay platoon invites will also be fixed within tomorrow's update. So yeah, really good news for console World of Tanks in terms of we are going to be probably getting the Italian heavy tanks fairly soon within the game. Of course, being the Progetto line comes off of tier 7, I believe, and then it moves right the way up to tier 10. So if you want to pick up, maybe get your hands on the new Italian heavy tanks, maybe play the tier 6, and then the tank line tends to come from tier 7, 8, 9, 10. So I think that there's 4 Italian heavy tanks within the game on PC, so I would assume that they're very similar. So if you want to pick up the Italian heavy tanks when they first get released into World of Tanks console, then be sure to do that. In terms of some other things, next week the website will have an article followed by quality of life improvements page. So basically what they mean by this is they will be bringing some tank balance, basically talking about what's the problem with certain tanks within some of the articles that I'll try and cover if possible. But I am going to be away for the next week until Tuesday the 13th, I think it is, somewhere around there. That's when I will be back from my little holiday. Of course, there'll be content coming out on a regular basis. So yeah, I don't know if I'll have exactly every single day with content. So apologies if I miss a day with a video, but I will try to get as many out there as possible in this time during that kind of period where I am away. Now, In terms of back to the news, we have the World War II tank balance starting with the MAUs and the IS-4. So between World War II, you know, there's been a lot of problems with the tank balance. Some tanks are just completely just not quite right, and of course the MAUs and the IS-4 are two tanks that have been kind of chosen by Wargaming. Interesting that they've chosen the MAUs and the IS-4, since I don't think that the MAUs is particularly awful within the game. I don't think it's necessarily one of the best ones, but I don't know what they're going to do with it. I feel like they'll probably just make it slightly faster. Maybe they'll give it its armour a little bit of a buff in the weak points, but even then, like, what's the point? Because all that'll do is mean that everyone just then has to fire premium MAUs instead of just, you know, having the possibility of penning the weak spots of the MAUs with standard ammunition. So yeah, I guess interesting to see what they do with the MAUs and the IS-4, and of course, if we can, we will cover that in a news video as soon as we get some more information as to what they're trying to do with both of the tanks. As far as some other things, we have a critical hit number in the post-battle results screen performance tab, so we'll be able to see what critical modules that we've damaged, how many critical hits that you've done to each tank, I believe, something of a similar kind of degree, I should say. And then we will also have a tank comparability in detailed statistics. So one would suggest that, you know, you can look at a certain tank that you want to have a look at within the game, go to the detailed statistic, pick another tank that you're interested in, and then you'll see like a positive and a negative as to which tank has the better statistic in the specific statistic that you are looking at. So say if you want to have a look at DPM or fire rate of fire, for example, you may have, you know, a Jaegeru, and then you might have something like an Object 140. Of course, it will be green for the Object 140 because it fires faster, and it will be red for the Jaegeru, or the Jagdpanzer E100, I should say. So yeah, both of those, if you want to have a look at that, then I guess that you can do. But I think that's definitely a positive change. One that is just like a nice thing to have in the game, being able to compare two tank destroyers. For example, you're not going to be comparing a Jaegeru to an Object 140, it's probably going to be something like a Jaegeru and an FV4005 or an FV215B183. You can have a look at them, at both of them, see which one you want to get, and then decide upon which tank line to go down if you haven't already got them, or you're just trying to maximise kind of which tank you want to play and best suits your own ability within World of Tanks console. Now, as far as some other things, we've got better display for missile capacity and reload rates. So I guess that that's basically just saying that there will be some increased kind of HUD elements that just tell you exactly how long like the reload rate of the missiles is going to be and how many you have within your tank. So not too much there. As far as some other things, detailed stats, missing accounting for crew skills and equipment. So I think what they're trying to do now is, obviously the detailed statistics tab doesn't actually take into account crew skills and equipment. So I think they're just going to fix that, make sure that that's in the game, so it does tell you the exact stat that is with the crew skills and equipment. In terms of what I'd like to actually see is tell you actually what the base statistic is for the vehicle, and then tell you how much is added on from the perks and skills that you actually have within the game. I think that that would be a really, really good change for Wargaming to actually put into the game. Let us know the base and the amount that it's increased by to tell you the total, if that makes sense. So say it's 500 meters view range. I know that no tank pretty much has that in the game, but then if your base is 400, you know, you've got 500 combined, then you've got 100 extra from your crew skills and equipment or whatever. You know, just let us know, break it down, tell us which is what the base is, what it is from the crew skills, and then give us the overall as well. I think that would be a really good change in terms of just like an extra added into the game to just, you know, I don't see why they can't do that. I think that would be really, really good. And then of course we have our most controversial one within the game, better bot spread on maps. So they basically mean that, you know, when the matchmaker goes low, Wargaming decided that what they're going to do, instead of just putting you into like 6 versus 6 games, is now you'll play in 15 versus 15 with probably 9 bots on each team. Really, really interesting idea. Don't like it whatsoever. I think, yeah, if you're having to implement bots, then something isn't going too well. Don't like bots at all. Doesn't inspire competitive play. Bots are pretty useless, to be honest, within the game. You know, they drive into the edge of the map border, apparently, and they're like looking out of the map border in some cases. Yeah, just what is going on there? Definitely don't like bots personally. Obviously, you guys, I know what some of you think. You know, you've commented plenty on my videos. Don't know if it's a vocal minority, but a lot of people are saying, you know, bots are just completely pointless in terms of when they actually play. And then, of course, what Wargaming is saying about them is that they won't drive into choke points and will spread out more. So instead of just going down narrow channels, that they'll actually move away from certain paths, make different paths and stuff like that. Not entirely sure how that works, but as long as it doesn't lead to loads of problems, then I guess it's good. But yeah, I don't know. Don't know what I think about that. Obviously, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as to better bots and the fact that bots are even in World of Tanks. Yeah, just no, just absolutely not. Yeah, matchmaking, obviously, because every single update has a matchmaking improvement or test, because I don't know, they seem to not be able to balance the matchmaker on console. Yeah, what on earth? Team is looking at making sure classes are balanced in the matchmaker. Well, of course, I mean, that's been going on for about 7 years of Wargaming. Don't quite know how they haven't quite got it yet. Basically what that means is, you know, when you jump into a game, say you have 5 heavy tanks, 5 tank destroyers, 5 light tanks, for example. Obviously that never happens. That means that when you come up against the opposite team, they should also have 5 heavy tanks, 5 tank destroyers, and 5 light tanks. You know, the exact same kind of matchup. Whether the tanks are the exact same, obviously not, but what it tends to be is, you know, you will come up against the exact same class. It could also be 5 tank destroyers and 10 heavy tanks against 5 tank destroyers and 10 heavy tanks. But often what happens is it's 5 heavy tanks against 4 medium tanks against 2 heavy tanks against, you know, this kind of mismatch and disparity between the teams, which obviously on certain maps leads to one team having a significant advantage. So for example, if you talk about Himmelsdorf, heavy tanks tend to be pretty decent. I mean, it's not probably the best heavy map in the game. That would probably go to something like Ensk or Ruinberg. But basically it means that if, you know, you've got 5 heavy tanks on one team, 1 heavy tank on the other, then of course they're going to have a much bigger, significant advantage when fighting in that town area, which means they're more than likely going to win that town area, and therefore they're going to get a massive proportion of the map, and then they're going to win from that area, which is more crucial on certain maps. So yeah, definitely leads to some problems. Of course it could lead in the other way. If you're playing in a game and there's 5 mediums instead of 5 heavy tanks on one team, and you're playing on a map like Prokhorovka, of course that's going to be a big problem for the team with all of the heavy tanks, because they are just lumbering oafs that are going to get outspotted by all of the medium tanks, and therefore you've got a big disadvantage. So definitely something that needs to be sorted out within the game. Definitely something I've noticed within the game in the last couple of months, is just the team balance and making sure that classes are balanced, and hopefully Wargaming actually do something good towards this. Obviously don't know, but yeah, definitely a thumbs up if they can actually get that sorted out, because it is a big problem. You know, it's probably one of the reasons why people have these one-sided games, and that is probably a big factor in that. Now we have some major update kind of news, the next big update. So of course we've had things like update 6.0, we've had things like this most recent one where we got a load of maps back and we got all of the various different content within the game. We've got the next update news, or what's going to be coming within this big update. We don't know the official release date. Wargaming haven't stated it, and I guess that we'll just be having a look at what kind of things will come into the game. Now, in terms of what that is, we have some World War II improvements. So one would suggest that that's things like the detailed statistics, all of the various different little things within the game that have gone kind of awry after Update 6.0. I think a lot of the changes being made right now are bringing back stuff that was already into the game, which of course is going to be good for those veteran players that liked the previous stuff within the game. Of course, that can't be always said as a good thing. But yeah, definitely something to kind of think about when wargaming are going forward. Sometimes it is always good to just stop, take a step back, realise what the game was all about in the beginning, take hold of some of the older players that have actually played and invested time into your game, that will invest and put time into the future of the game. Yeah, definitely something that should be really pushed hard by Wargaming, and I don't think in the past, or at least in the last 7 or 8 months since Update 6.0, that has really been thought about too much, at least in terms of what the player base sees from Wargaming. I don't know how they actually work within their kind of teams, and whether they're actually thinking about, slowing down, making sure that the bugs are fixed, because in the last 8 months, for the players at least, one bug leads to another bug, leads to 2 more bugs, leads to 1 more bug, leads to 1 being fixed, leads to 5 being fixed, leads to another bug. That's the big problem I think that a lot of the players are kind of facing, and every week we seem to have a new kind of bug that actually impacts the gameplay. And so, the more and more bugs that actually get let into the game, I guess that's a big negative. And I've noticed that myself. Previously in the history of World of Tanks, there was never too many bugs within the game. At least, there was obviously bugs, but there wasn't as many as there used to be. And I think, I don't know whether that's because a lot of the content was rushed or pushed forward before proper testing was able to be done, or just because it's completely new and a completely new system that Wargaming have developed, and so you have to give them a little bit of leniency, but then also you have to think like they've had 6 months to try and fix the jumping reticle from the consumables, and it actually took 6 months for them to actually fix a core game mechanic. Yeah, not something that I was particularly fond of when kind of reviewing the update news every week. We're seeing that, we're investigating this, we're investigating it month after month after month after month after month, and then finally it's fixed, and then, oh no, it isn't actually, we lied, or didn't lie, but, they said it was fixed, comes into the game, it was slightly fixed, but then it was also still not working, I think, and then, just fix it sooner, fix your bugs sooner, because no one wants to play a game for 6 months with the recurring bug. Anyway, moving back to the update news. Sorry, I'm getting a little bit off track. I think some of my personal opinions always come into these update news videos, and I think you guys kind of like that, because I always see it in the comment section down below, like you kind of talking about the same sort of issues, and I guess that's always a good thing when we kind of highlight some of the key things that are frustrating us as players. But yeah, back to the news. Stop it, Eclipse. Right, turn True Vision on and off in custom games, so you can actually turn it on and off, apparently, within the next major update. Don't quite know who actually uses custom games on a regular basis. I don't think there's a massive proportion of the player base. I mean, some of the competitive players, or in quotation mark competitive players, will play in custom games to do the little tournaments and stuff like that. I don't think that it's a massive proportion of the player base though, so maybe actually work on some of the more key elements of the game. I know that you have to try and appease all sorts of areas within the game, but definitely not something that is crucial, at least in terms of what I would think. But yeah, obviously we've all got our own kind of opinions. If you're a competitive player, of course that's a big thing for you. But yeah, definitely let me know what you think. Then we have added more post-battle result screen details. So when you go into the post-battle result screen, we're basically going to be having things like who you did damage to, and what sort of things that you actually did to each individual tank on the enemy team. So that's really, really good. More post-battle result screen details is obviously good. Definitely a thumbs up from me. Bringing back some of the things that were prior to Update 6.0. Really, really good. Or at least, it's good, although it should probably already be in the game. You know what I mean? Like, it's good that they're actually going to be introducing that back, at least. And then tech tree improvements, horizontal. So instead of finally, so instead of having the tech trees as what they are currently, you know, where it's vertical and you've got all of the weird kind of, you have to search around for ages. The horizontal tech tree will be returning to World of Tanks console. Yes, finally. There's a reason why it's horizontal. You can see further. That's because your screen, it tends to be, you know, 1920 by 1080, which means that it's wider than it is longer, which means that you can see more tanks in the line all at once. There's a reason why both PC, Blitz, all of the various different ones have the tech tree in a certain way, and that's because you can see it on a monitor, a TV, any of the various things that you play on. You can see it in a horizontal manner. You can see more of the tech tree in a horizontal way. Definitely didn't like the tech tree when it first came into the game. Absolutely one of the changes that I just didn't see. It was not necessary, and luckily it's been fixed. It's coming into the game. Big thumbs up that they have accepted that the vertical tech tree did not work and the horizontal one is a better one. Anyway, moving on. HUD improvements to the view cone and base icon. So basically you'll be able to see where on the minimap your view cone is, and the base icons are going to be changed slightly. They say HUD improvements. Doesn't necessarily mean it's a HUD improvement, it's just what they think is an improvement. So just let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the HUD improvements when they come within the next major update. Of course, that's not tomorrow, it's in the future, so we'll just have to see what they think of the new kind of view cone and base icons. Hopefully they look better. If not, you know, I'm sure I'll let them know that it doesn't look good. Anyway, replay and spectator HUD improvements as well. That is a massive thumbs up from me. As a content creator, someone that makes you know, content for the game, really does want to actually push, you know, making something on YouTube, making like some sort of kind of community on the game. Being able to replay my games without having to permanently record is always something that is massive. The problem with the current replay system is, of course, you don't have a lot of the things in the game. When you fire, there's smoke within the replay kind of functionality, which means, you know, if I'm aiming down the scope within the replay, I can't actually see who I'm hitting. There's no recognition that you've hit someone within the replay system, so it just looks awful if I'm trying to like show it off to people on YouTube. Yeah, it just doesn't work if that's what it's intended for. Of course, if it's just a replay system so players can have a look at what they were doing within a game and make sure that they do something better, then of course it's good. But in terms of how it works for content creators and people that want to record the gameplay to put on YouTube, it's really bad. There's no other way to kind of like beat around the bush. It is really bad right now, and certainly some of those would be massive. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but if they do make some good changes, then I'll let you know in a later video. And of course, in the next major update, there will be more upgraded maps. So, a little bit of a teaser, more upgraded maps. That is a big thumbs up from me. Big thumbs up. The upgraded maps that came in recently have brought about a lot more players feeling more satisfied with the game. The diversity on the game's got a lot better. You know, you're not just playing the same 6 maps within the game. Yes, it's not the best. Yes, we had loads more previously, but it's a start. As long as we're getting updated maps on a semi-regular basis, that's the key thing that I'm after. Keep doing the Wargaming. Make sure that you're prioritising maps and also just content. I really want those challenges to come into the game. The long-term challenges. You know, if you're playing in a French TD, you deal. If you get an ace tanker in every single French tech tree TD, you can get a camo that reflects the French TDs, and it's an exclusive camo only for people that have got ace tanker in all of the French TDs. That will give you, you know, a French TD kind of skin or a camo that is exclusive. That will be for every single tank line within the game. Would be massive for people to just grind something extra on top of completing the season pass and all of the various different things, and just give you something to do on addition to the game, and give a little bit more depth. And on a final note, there are a few things being discussed by Wargaming at the moment, and that is mercenary contracts. There's more custom game capabilities, like having World War II and Cold War tanks in a game so they can fight against each other, so you'll have World War II versus Cold War tanks in a game. There's Artillery 2.0 changes being discussed, and clan statistics in a portal to be able to have a look at what your overall clan statistics are, and therefore make the competitive scene a little bit better, I guess, within the game. Bring back some of that competitiveness in World of Tanks, and of course that's always a positive from me. I think in terms of mercenary contracts, that's a big positive for me, as long as they're bringing out tanks that, you know, if they're going to make new ones, then definitely make the mercenary contracts actually balanced, because if you just introduce mercenary contracts into the game with broken tanks, of course it's not good for the health of the game, and certainly make sure that if you're going to make new mercenary tanks, they are actually balanced rather than the ones that they previously made, which yeah, let's just machine, hard case, etc, etc. Anyway, custom games, always good, you know, positive changes. Don't think anyone can complain with that. Just having the ability to do that sort of thing is always good. Artillery 2.0 changes being discussed. Thankfully, I say thankfully, this could be a really bad change. If artillery gets changed to what it is on PC right now, yes, pretty good. You know, artillery alpha gets nerfed, artillery kind of splash gets nerfed. Basically they get nerfed into the ground, which is absolutely something I am 100% keen on them doing. But if they just add in the splash mechanic, absolutely not. It is awful. In fact, I think it's worse being hit, getting your stunned, and then losing half your health anyway. Yeah, I just no. Don't bring in that. If that's what they're kind of aiming to do, don't do that, Wargaming, because artillery splash, there's a reason why all of the players wanted another artillery change, and hence why the artillery has been changed within World of Tanks PC into what it currently is, where it's just a nerf piece of rubbish. Yeah, definitely don't do that, Wargaming, if you are thinking about just adding in the stun mechanic and nothing else. Yeah, that's my 2 cents on the matter. I think that is everything for today's update news video. Of course, let me know what you think of this video, and if you aren't subscribed and you did enjoy the video, then of course feel free to subscribe. We've got loads more videos like this where we cover every single thing that you need to know about every single update news. We've got gameplay, guides, kind of replays of where I'll analyse what I'm doing, showing off the sort of things that you can do to get better if you're interested in that, or there's just some settings guides. We've got loads of stuff on the channel that's there basically to try and help you out. But yeah, so if you're interested in any of that, make sure to subscribe. And if you did like the video or dislike the video, make sure you do accordingly, and let me know in the comment section down below what you actually thought of the video and the things that Wargaming are kind of looking to implement into the game, and on Tuesday the Bisonte heavy tank within World of Tanks console. Let me know. If you want to check out more content, it should be on screen right now. Other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.